The first warning of rebellion went unnoticed within Hive Arcos. Stories of monsters prowling the Hive depths, domes painted with rust-red icons that crawled and twisted, and entire homesteads vanishing as if the Hive itself had swallowed them whole, were lost in the miasma of tall tales carried by peddlers and dome runners. Death and madness were as thick as the recycled air down in the Hive bottom, and no one who lived there had any doubt that they shared the dark with any number of horrors. The discovery of crude veins filled with gnawed human bones was blamed on muties, while the production spikes reported by the Corpse Guild were hailed as a triumph for the nobles of Arcos, even though some within the guild whispered that the flesh lockers were all but empty. Other signs went unnoticed, such as an increased consumption of corpse starch, shift overseers doling out larger portions, and citizens falling upon them with ever-increasing mania. Had the other guilds held more power, or the enforcers of Arcos been more diligent in their duty, something might have been done sooner. In the end, it was the weakness of one man that revealed the simmering rebellion in Necromunda's midst, and condemned Hive Arcos to the heretic's fate. Lord Achilles Cornus of the noble Cornus line had ruled Arcos for generations, his ancestors having broken away from the great House Grain centuries ago. Having carved out a place amongst the upper echelons of Necromundian society, and cultivated a reputation as a provider of the finest flesh morsels, Achilles was loath to ask too many questions of the cuts that provided him with his power. Even when the skin vat keepers began experimenting with spices, Achilles did not complain, his peers gobbling up the offerings of Arcos readily. In truth, this was but the first signs of the blood god's taint, and in the dark places of the Hive, gatherings of corpse grinders were chanting prayers over mounds of unprocessed corpses. Through these offerings of corrupted meat, the power of chaos began worming its way into the souls of those who consumed it. As with all things on Necromunda, it was not the nobles who paid the price for Achilles' ignorance, but rather the drudging masses who toiled beneath his feet. Eager for anything to break the monotony of their lives, the spiced meat and blessed corpse starch offerings of the corpse grinders were snatched up by the mid-hivers, the gelders, the clan houses, and all their kin. Slowly, the madness crept into Arcos through the meat, the number of atrocities and murder between Hive dwellers steadily climbing as neighbors turned upon each other and consumed the weak. Even then, heightened levels of unrest and tales of blood cults, cannibal kings, and serial killers were nothing new to Hive Arcos, the enforcers purging hab levels and executing offenders without bothering to question the ravings of their prisoners. Meanwhile, a dark transformation was taking place in the Underhive. Settlements became the hiding places for Chaos Fiends, and where homesteads once stood, charnel pits were dug to hold the corpse grinders' gory bounty. As the influence of the cult spread, one by one, outlaws and mutants bowed down before the profane icons of the Lord of Skin and Sinew. When news of the rebellion and mass revolt in the lower Hive reached Achilles, his first thoughts were not for his people, nor for the role of the corpse grinders in such a uprising, but what he was going to tell Lord Helmar.